Welcome once again to Auto Mundial, the weekly home of all the latest motoring news and reviews. In a special episode this week, we pay the fabulous setting of Blenheim Palace a visit for the second Salon Prive of the year.
We've got some of the rarest and most expensive classic automobiles ever sold.
Plus all the latest high-end unveilings the motoring industry has to offer.
That's all coming up. First though, the news. Recently, we reported that the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders highlighted a decline in UK car production in July versus the same month of last year. Explained by slowing EV demand, it seems the issues are not limited to the United Kingdom. Due to the low electric vehicle demand, Fiat has had to temporarily halt production of the all-electric Fiat 500e at its Mirafiori factory in Italy. The production seemingly shut down on the 13th of September and won't reopen until mid-October. By extension, low EV sales forced the Italian Stellantis marque to develop the 500 Ibrida, a hybrid version of the model to match consumers' wants and needs. The Italian manufacturer is not turning its back on battery electric tech, however, as over €100 million have reportedly been spent on developing a new battery for the all-electric 500. Significantly higher range and lower cost, Fiat will hope this new model can entice its customers once production kicks back into gear.
Blenheim Palace, one of the largest houses in England, sitting on UNESCO's list of World Heritage Sites alongside countless other significant landmarks around the world. It's also famous as the birthplace and ancestral home of Sir Winston Churchill. But don't worry, we're not becoming another travel show fascinating over the intricate design details of the building's Baroque styling. Today, Blenheim Palace is home to Salon Prive, a wondrous celebration of all things glamorous, high-end, elegant, and above all else, powerful. Earlier this year, we headed to Salon Prive's Central London edition at Chelsea's Royal Hospital. But here at Blenheim, the event goes bigger and better.
Clearly, Salon Prive attracts some frankly stunning cars, but there is one model in history that even the great Enzo Ferrari dubbed the most beautiful car ever made, and surprisingly the Italian was not talking about one of his own designs. The Jaguar E-Type was unveiled at the 1961 Geneva Motor Show, immediately capturing the desires of automotive enthusiasts the world over. In fact, that first model caught so much interest that Jaguar delivered a second example to the show overnight to meet test drive demand. And here is where the car's story began. What you're looking at here is the very first example, the car that sat undercover before being unveiled to the world in Geneva in 1961. This is the car that made the world over fall in love with the Jaguar E-Type, along with its owner all the way from Switzerland. Presenting in a fabulous condition, you can see why Mr. Ferrari himself, Il Commendatore, appreciated the E-Type so much. Sitting under that flowing bonnet is a 3.8-litre straight six, good for around 265 brake horsepower, allowing the sleek model to cut through the air all the way up to 150 miles per hour. With the fantastic fixed-head coupe shape forming a point at the tail of the car, brilliantly simple details and that long bonnet all making for a dainty shape, seeing any Series 1 E-Type feels special. But sitting in the presence of the very first model to ever see the light of day is a wonderfully unique way of kicking off this year's Salon Prive.
Classic cars may be stunning things of beauty on the level of works of art, but fiddling with engines on Sunday afternoons isn't for everyone. That is where Resto Mods, modification projects aimed at modernising key attributes of classic cars, come in, and there are few better in the space than Tuthill. Specialised in upgrading early Porsche 911s in a variety of shapes with higher performance, greater reliability and more comfort, the British car maker came to Salon Prive with a new, jaw-dropping design. This is the Tuthill GT1, a modern recreation of the celebrated Porsche 911 GT1 Strassen version, a homologation special Le Mans race car for the road. According to Richard Tuthill, the company's founder, that 1990s model compromised road performance in favour of trackability, and this recreation corrects that flaw. Strip down the GT1's fantastically aerodynamic carbon fibre body and you will expose a 4-litre flat-six engine available in either turbocharged or naturally aspirated form, whilst a choice of manual or automatic gearbox is also available. But with over 500 brake horsepower, 11,000 RPM and 3 pedals, the turboless manual specification certainly gets our vote. In total, Tuthill is preparing to build 22 examples of the GT1, and sadly, every single last one has been sold. This latest Resto Mod creation is a fabulous throwback to the old FIA GT1 racing category that competed at the top of the sports car world. But it isn't alone in the endeavour to recall motoring past with a modern touch.
Indeed, even the big brands of automotive exclusivity are trying their best to get in on the throwback action. Among the gorgeous flowing curves of other Aston Martin models present at Salon Prive sat a set of rigid shapes and wannabe muscle car lines. That vintage-looking body forms part of the manufacturer's latest special edition model, celebrating 110 years of the Aston Martin name, the Valor. But take a closer look, and can you see what it is yet? In actual fact, the Valor is a throwback of sorts to the first Vantage with its bold presence and fastback body style, just like this one. Unlike a Resto Mod, the Valor is not a fine-tuned classic with refreshed internals and visual upgrades. Instead, it's its own model, built from the ground up, sporting looks inspired by the original Vantage in all its strapping glory. Lying under the infinitely long bonnet is the same 5.2-litre twin-turbocharged V12 as found in the DBS, good for 715 brake horsepower. Though, unlike the mass-market GT, Valor pairs its throbbing 12-pot with a 6-speed manual, a combination we, and no doubt many driving enthusiasts, would love to try out. While the front end does get some sense of the model's throwback styling, it's really from the side that you spot the inspiration. The long bonnet leads wonderfully into the cabin, capped off by a fantastic fastback roofline and ducktail wing. Inside, however, and apart from the tartan print upholstery on the seats and wood gear knob, there is little in the way of old-time charm. Carbon fibre throughout, thin sporty seats, buttons galore, and even a touchscreen. This is definitely a modern cabin. The Aston Martin Valor is definitely a special bit of kit visually, and the British mark knows it. Only 110 examples of the car will ever exist, with prices probably so high we needn't mention them. So we'll stick to the boring standard line of Aston Martin Super Coupes instead.
After the break, more priceless classics and impressive releases from Salon Prive here at Blenheim Palace.
Welcome back. Coming up, we complete our tour of Salon Prive's Blenheim Palace lawn.
In the midst of all the glitz and glamour, a young man by the name of Chase McQueen introduced his own sense of American nonchalance. Hiding behind his set of specs is the grandson of world-famous actor Steve McQueen. Surrounded by a team of drivers and mechanics that took his grandfather to automotive infamy driving a Porsche 917 in his movie Le Mans, Chase announced his collaboration with sunglass brand Renault. Whilst new bifocals may be the reason for this star-studded gathering, it was the Porsche 917 race car that Steve McQueen himself drove around the Circuit de la Sarthe that caught our eye. McQueen never raced at Le Mans due to insurance concerns, but he did strap himself to his very Porsche 917 race car and send it down the infamously long Mulsanne Straight during filming, all whilst blaring the tunes of a flat 12 engine. An impressive sight, Steve McQueen's Porsche 917 was not the only racing legend on display on the Salon Prive lawn.
Le Mans royalty and rallying heroes were in full force, majestically resting in front of Blenheim Palace. But 1980s Group C beasts were not alone in making racing fans drool.
In amongst the collection of vintage champagne bottles, high-end caviar and jaw-dropping supercars, the Ferrari 250 GTO still manages to stick out like a sore thumb. Officially the most expensive Ferrari ever sold at auction, the most recent model reached the dizzying heights of over $50 million before the hammer fell. But back in 2018 the record was set at a staggering $70 million, meaning it is one of the few cars that will always feel special. But if one of these stunning models wasn't enough, how about two of these seemingly priceless 1960s race cars, alongside a rather distinctive sculpture by French artist Antoine de Filo? What you're looking at here is an extremely rare coming together of both the sculptural Series 1 and purposeful Series 2 Ferrari 250 GTO. In total, there are 36 250 GTO chassis, 33 Series 1 and only 3 of the streamlined Series 2 design. Under the elongated bonnet lies a 3-litre V12 good for around 300 brake horsepower, which may not sound like a lot in today's money, but back in the day this was one of the best GT sports cars money could buy, if Enzo himself invited you to buy one, that is.
Salon Prive is one of the few events in the world where rare Ferraris aren't actually all that unique. And not far from the main stage sat a collection of all the most jaw-dropping prancing horse models in recognisable Rosso Corsa paint.
The automobile comes in all shapes and sizes, meaning there really is something for everyone, and that is no less true here at Salon Prive. If the subtle curves and tuneful song of a 1960s Le Mans racing prancing horse don't tickle your fancy, perhaps this will. This hefty lump of a car, with its out-there styling and tastefully flashy gold pinstriping, is the first concept for newly emerging car maker Neuron. According to the company's CEO, Amir Neuron, the model is all about giving customers free rein on specification, meaning the base £2 million price tag will surely grow to mind-boggling heights. Under the showy exterior is quite the personality complex, as Neuron's first production version promises both 1,000 brake horsepower from its twin-turbo V8, as well as racer-rivaling levels of downforce. Yet the cabin holds 4 seats, and this particular concept tips the scale at over 1.6 tonnes, a true tale of two halves. But ultimately, it's a brilliant way of standing out from the supercar herd, as with just 39 examples up for grabs, you'll struggle to come across a matching model. Even more so, that is, if you commit fully to the company's ethos of tailor-made specifications, just like this car shows. While this bold combination of purple and gold paint may not be for everyone, it is designed for the company's CEO. The harsh combo continues inside with gold detailing and purple upholstery. But fear not. Provided you spend the £300,000 deposit, you can throw all the colours you want at the model to satisfy your inner finger painter. Much like the exterior, the cabin gets a sense of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, presenting as a 4-seat race car in fancy dress. Even some time after our time with it, we're still struggling to work out what the Neuron really wants to be. Currently very much in the development phase, the Neuron will supposedly launch in the first quarter of 2025. But if you want to get your hands on your very own example, you'd better be quick, as deposits are supposedly coming in fast.
Salon Prive may be a fantastic opportunity for grandiose manufacturers of today to show off their latest ornate creations. But in the shadow of Blenheim Palace, displayed throughout the immaculate lawns, classics from decades gone by appear to suit the setting rather well. And they had better shine, as every classic on show gets a thorough inspection by a team of judges looking to give out awards for only the best models on display. Isotta Fraschini is a resurrected brand in today's racing scene, but here is a far earlier version of the marque's automotive philosophy. A firm rival to Italy's luxury car maker of the early 20th century, the Bugatti name has certainly done a better job at standing the test of time, now at the summit of automotive performance. But back in the early days, the moniker stood for luxury as well as death-defying capabilities. If the previous Ferrari 250 GTO sculpture was not impressive enough, this Bugatti Type 35 rendition captures the car's almost flimsy speed in a wonderful way. And one cannot discuss the history of extravagant automotive luxury without turning to the Rolls-Royce name. Providing the rich and famous with stately transportation for over 120 years, the list of important rollers in history is seemingly endless.
Another British manufacturer celebrating an important milestone this year is MG, marking a century since taking the automotive industry by storm all those years ago. And in celebration of its long history, the now Chinese-owned manufacturer has something rather special to show and tell. A few weeks ago, we took a look at the marque's all-new all-electric Cyberster, a throwback to the British sports car with a modern twist. Rear-wheel drive with over 300 horsepower, we gravitated to the entry-level trophy specification, looking set to offer old-school fun in a modern package. The only issue we really had with the car was that you wouldn't enjoy it quite as much in rainy winter. But now there is a solution, as for its 100th birthday, MG has made this the Cyber GTS. Currently but a concept car, it gets all the same attributes of the drop-top Cyberster, like quirky arrow-shaped taillights, a pronounced diffuser and a charming front end, whilst adding a gorgeous roofline that reminds us of great coupe sports cars of time gone by. With this British racing green paint, white roundels and red front lip, the model on show at Salon Prive pays tribute to the 1968 MGC GTS Sebring, a decorated racer in its day. Oh, and who couldn't appreciate white wheels like this? We're just glad we're not the ones keeping them clean. Alongside an additional slab of metal above the cabin, the Cyber GTS gets a collection of other additions, from broader haunches to a fabulous lip spoiler on the boot lid, nicely capping off the roofline. Given its concept form, there is no interior to speak of when it comes to the Cyber GTS. As such, we don't know if it gets the same butterfly doors as its drop-top brethren or regularly swinging openings. We know which we would rather, but they wouldn't attract the same always-online attention-grabbing fan base. As yet, there is no official word on whether or not the Cyberster's coupe cousin will hit the market and become available to the general public. But until MG says no, we will continue hoping it makes its way to full production specification. Even if it doesn't, the MG Cyber GTS makes for quite the thing to look at, as do the majority of displays at Salon Prive here at Blenheim Palace.
Sadly, that is all the Salon Prive our feet can take and all we have time for today. But do join us next week as normal service resumes with an estate version of BMW's new M5.